My daughter sold my car and jewelry to marry her boyfriend, so I used her college fund to buy another one. I work as a logistics coordinator for an international shipping company. The job requires me to travel overseas about 3 weeks every month, managing supply chain operations across 4 countries. My daughter Lexi is 20 and just finished her second year at community college. She still lives at my house rent-free while I cover all her expenses. Since she was 9 years old, Lexi told everyone she wanted to become a veterinarian. I started a college fund that year and never touched it. By the time she graduated high school, I'd saved $47,000 specifically for her university transfer after community college. Last month I came home 5 days early from Singapore because our project finished ahead of schedule. The first thing I noticed was my BMW wasn't in the garage. I figured Lexi borrowed it, which was fine since I'd given her permission before. But when I walked inside, something felt wrong. The house was a disaster. Dishes piled in the sink, trash overflowing, her boyfriend's clothes scattered everywhere. Then I went to my bedroom and saw my jewelry box sitting open and completely empty. My mother's diamond earrings, my grandmother's gold bracelet, the pearl necklace my father bought me when I graduated medical school before he passed. All of it gone. Altogether worth about $31,000, but the sentimental value was priceless. I called Lexi 6 times. No answer. I texted her that I was calling the police to report a robbery. She finally responded within 2 minutes. Mom, please don't call the cops. I can explain everything. Just give me an hour. She showed up 90 minutes later with William, her boyfriend of 2 years. His mom works in the admissions office at the university Lexi planned to transfer to, which is how they met during a campus tour. Lexi couldn't even look at me. William did all the talking at first, saying they'd been planning their engagement for months. They wanted a real wedding at this venue his cousin recommended, but the deposit alone was $15,000 and they needed it by last week or they'd lose the date. I asked why they didn't just ask me. Lexi finally spoke up and said she knew I'd say no because I think they're too young. She said William's mom agreed to help but could only contribute $8,000, so they needed to come up with the rest fast. That's when William admitted he suggested selling my car and jewelry. He said his friend runs an estate jewelry business and gave them a fair price, and another friend bought the BMW for $38,000 cash. Lexi started crying and saying she was going to tell me after the wedding. She promised they'd pay me back over the next few years once they both had real jobs. I asked her when the wedding was. She said 6 weeks from now, and most of the money was already spent on deposits they couldn't get back. I looked at both of them and said, well, I hope you have a beautiful wedding. Then I told them to leave. William said I was being dramatic. Lexi begged me to understand. I just walked to my room and locked the door. The next morning, I called my financial advisor and had him wire Lexi's entire college fund into my personal checking account. Then I contacted the community college and withdrew her from next semester, requesting a refund of the $4,200 I'd already paid. I didn't tell her. I just waited. 12 days later, my phone exploded with calls from Lexi. I was in a meeting in Tokyo, so I let it go to voicemail. She left 4 messages, each one more panicked than the last. When I finally called her back, she was hysterical. The university had rejected her transfer application. When she called to ask why, they told her that her transcripts were never received because she was no longer enrolled at community college. She screamed at me, asking what I did. I told her calmly that I withdrew her from school and took back the money I'd been saving for her education. You sold my car and my mother's jewelry without asking. I assumed that meant you didn't need my financial support anymore. She started sobbing, saying I was ruining her entire future over one mistake. I reminded her that her future included stealing $69,000 worth of my property to fund a wedding I wasn't even invited to. That's when she admitted they hadn't planned to invite me until after the ceremony because William's mom said I'd cause drama. I told Lexi I'd spent $52,000 of her college fund as a down payment on a new BMW, a better one than the car she sold. Fully loaded. She lost it completely. She called me selfish, cruel, and said I never actually loved her. William grabbed the phone and said I was a monster who was jealous of their happiness. I asked him if his mom had contributed that $8,000 she promised. He went quiet and hung up. That was 3 weeks ago. Lexi has sent me 47 text messages apologizing, begging me to reconsider, saying she'll get a job and pay me back in installments. William's mother called my work phone and said I'm setting a terrible example of unconditional love. Yesterday, Lexi texted me a photo of their wedding invitation. My name is on it. I'm not going.